The reason we are saying no to corruption is because we are not a poor country, and Africa is not a poor continent. We are a very rich continent, but our main enemy is corruption. So if our leaders, you would listen to us. You see, I don't have a gun. So if someone would shoot me, they would be doing a disservice. And the same thing is happening in Nairobi, that young people are shot without having any weapon. And our request is one, our leaders, please listen to us. Please don't want to have our parents curse at you because you have killed us. Just listen.
Well, that was the voice and the conviction of Kenyan student Josiah Muriukji protesting outside the Kenyan embassy in Pretoria. This was last year when the demonstrations in Kenya and Nairobi erupted across the country and also, spilled over to other parts of the world where Kenyan people are mirroring the outrage that is happening back home. And fast forward 1 year later, that anger has only deepened. Yesterday was meant to be a peaceful memorial march to mark the first anniversary of the deadly storming of Kenya's parliament, which turned into yet another day of violent clashes. Police unleashed tear gas, barricaded government buildings, and protesters once again flooding the streets, and some even laying flowers for more than 60 lives lost last year, and others chanting, "Ruto must go." This wasn't just about the tax bill that was proposed by the government anymore. It was about deepening poverty. It was about police brutality. And much like South Africa, a generation that feels betrayed by its government, betrayed by its leaders, betrayed by those that consider themselves freedom fighters and liberators of the land. And joining us now, a year later, is Josiah, who's a student here in South Africa and one of voices of Kenya's disillusioned youth. And he's going to be giving us more insight about 1 year later, same scenes still unfolding in Kenya. Has anything changed? Have those protests made any kind of difference? Josiah, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Salam Media. Really appreciate you giving us your time this morning. How are you?
I'm very fine. Good morning. Thank you so much for having me here. And it's really a good morning, but a very sad morning in Kenya because we can see what is happening all over the media. And the good thing is that many people, especially in government, currently are running away from the truth. And that's the saddest part of it, such that we would be out there in the streets remembering people, the fallen soldiers, the fallen people who we lost in the last year's protests. But now the government comes in and opens fire on peaceful protesters. And the worst thing is that everyone can see in broad daylight that these people don't have weapons, but then are shot dead. So nothing should at all be equivalent to the life of any young person, and especially because the young people are the future of the country.
No, definitely. And before we just get deeply into, the events of yesterday, I want you to take us back, to that video clip that we played a few seconds ago, to that moment in Pretoria last year. What pushed you guys and so many other young Kenyans abroad in Europe, in parts of Africa, in Asia, to go out and protest against your own government from thousands and thousands of kilometers away?
You're right. Thank you. Thank you very much. So the protests last year and like this year, the protests last year were based on one thing. There was a punitive, a very retrogressive and very oppressive bill that was being passed in parliament, and which was actually passed by parliament. But then the people, because they have a mandate by the constitution of Kenya, the people went to the streets. And now to stand in solidarity with them, we went to the streets so that we make sure that we are standing with our brothers and sisters who were on the streets as at that time. So last year we were just basically standing in solidarity with our people, and we knew that if we don't do that, if we don't stand in solidarity with them, then their voice might not be heard. So we had to channel our voices from all corners of the world, either in Europe, in Africa, in other parts of Africa, in Asia, in Australia, everywhere. Every Kenyan knew what to do, and what to do was to reject the finance bill. And our efforts bore fruit because that finance bill didn't pass. But right now, we are seeing a lot of negativity from the government, a lot of negativity in terms of, since last year's finance bill didn't pass, now they blamed it on the Gen Z. And it's Gen Zs that caused, now we have budget deficits. It's Gen Zs that now all the issues that are around corruption and all that. So it comes back to that accountability, which is what we were fighting for. And as you heard from the video, as I was talking, I said our biggest enemy is corruption, and corruption grows where there is lack of accountability. And so our leaders have almost completely refused to be held accountable for any actions that they take. And it's very sad. It's very sad because we are people who have gone to school. We know how to do maths. We know how to account for every coin. So if we're giving tax, we are paying tax of this amount and it's being used in the wrong ways, we know that this is wrong, and we are the ones who elected you to office. So we are holding you accountable. In essence, we are your employers. And so that time, fighting the finance bill. Now, when we went out, they killed people. And the people who were killed by police, by goons who are hired by some of the major people. So it would now blow over to this year, or it would grow to this year, that those people who were killed are the ones who are being remembered yesterday. And they are the same people who they now came and opened fire on the youth of the country.
You know, as a I've been following the Kenyan issues for a very, very long time. I think Kenya is a very, very important player on the continent. I think there's so much exchange between South Africa and Kenya. Although online there are beefs here and there, but the lived and true realities of the youth in Kenya, if you can just expand on that a bit, because I think is important, because in a lot of ways it mirrors some of the challenges that young people here in South Africa are also facing. And it's always, I think, eye-opening and insightful to hear the perspective and true lived realities of young people in other parts of the continent that us here in South Africa have so much in common with.
Yeah. So the young people of Kenya, me being one of them, you would realize, as you said, there's a lot of interchange between Kenya and the world, and South Africa being part of it. I am a student, and so we do a lot of things. The young people are actually very educated. I think amongst a group of 5, let's say my friends, if I count 5 of my friends, you find that at least 4 of them have degrees. So these are educated people. These are people who have done major courses. You find someone who has done architecture. You find someone else who has done, let's say, journalism. You find someone else who has done economics. So these are people who know what it is that needs to be done. But then when they are done with school, their parents told them, go to school, get a degree, get a job, and at least you're able to help yourself. And also our aging parents need help. So we're looking in a state where these people that took us to school, which are our parents, as a South African, you would understand the best the
Black
concept
tax.
of tax. Yes.
Black tax.
So
know it all too well.
Absolutely. So now with these people who are looking up to their children, these children go to the cities, rural urban migration, because they are now educated. They go to the cities, and when they are in the cities, either being educated and they are done schooling, they are then told by the government, we don't have jobs for you. So you would need to start your businesses. So start your small businesses. And the same government comes and puts very huge taxes, which are bottlenecks for these people to start businesses. And so there is nowhere where a young person can thrive in their own country. And that is where the major problem. So the young people are frustrated. And what is frustrating the young people is actually the knowledge of that you are educated, and the promise that was promised to you that there will be employment, there is no difference between you and the person who probably completed school at grade 8. And now you're frustrated because these same people are coming to you to say, we will do this, we will do that. The politicians, they will come back to you and say, we will do this, we will do that, we will do the other. But then the question is, who among them will do it? Because they have promised long enough, but they have not done it. And that's why the youth are very frustrated.
Oh, definitely. I think, you might as well be talking about the situation here in South Africa, the way, there's literally no contrast. It's like copy and paste, looking at the situation that we're facing here in the country in South Africa. Just lastly, before I let you go, what are you hearing from friends and family in Nairobi, in Mombasa at the current moment? What's the mood among young people? Is it fear? Is it rage? Is it hopelessness because of the response of the government and the impunity that they've been going about, handling these mass protests and mass gatherings of young people?
So actually, just to make it clear, I am currently in Kenya. I'm
Oh, great.
currently, yeah, I traveled home for a short break. I'm currently in Kenya, and I was part of the process yesterday. So I thank God I'm alive. I'm happy to be speaking to you this morning, and it's from most of the people that I was with. The people are tired, and you see, in all its entirety, the leadership, everything rises and falls on leadership. And so most of the people that are in Kenya, because I'm coming from home just a few minutes ago, that's why I'm just on the road, and most of the people that are currently either employed or even the ones who are unemployed. Let's start with the ones who are employed. The ones who are employed are angry that they now have to pay compulsory taxes that have been pushed by the government. They have to pay compulsory taxes like, something like housing levy. Housing levy, they have to pay, yet they have to buy the houses at the same time. They are very angry at that. And they are tired because now your pay slip is almost half, more than half to the government. And then the remaining now is what you share with the bills, which is the lighting company or the water sanitation company. Now you have to pay all the utilities using the remaining small amount of money that remains. And the ones who are not employed, they have nothing to lose. And that's where the major problem comes. They have nothing to lose because you're already hopeless. The people are very, very in very desperate situations, because you can imagine prices, the cost of living goes up, the prices of everything has gone up, and then the taxes of those who are employed goes up. And now they are the same people who are paying black tax that we talked about earlier, and they are having a difficult time to even explain to their parents that I am not able to help you with this, I'm not able to help you with the other. And so it's a major, major, major challenge. So that's where we are currently. And today it's quite chilled. It's cool. People are not on the streets, but yesterday it was bad. And the reason as to why it was that bad is because the youth won't change. And it starts with the youth. Yes.
Do you believe the president Ruto has lost the moral mandate to govern, or is this more about the system than just maybe the man at the top, the president himself?
I think it's they say a fish rots from the head, and I would not have statistics to say that he's lost it completely, but what I would say is that the way the system has been engineered and the way the system has been working in the past cannot work the same way. You cannot use the same solution to solve the problem that has not worked in the past. So the tactic would need to change. So it might not be that he as a person, but probably the entire government, because the government of the day completely has lost the public trust. That someone from government tells you we will do this, they don't do. So that's where the major problem comes, and it becomes a tendency of fake promises, and these fake promises continue being told to the people that they even get numb of. We are used to this. When someone from government tells you we will build a road, we are used to this because it's what they use to politic, and it's what they use to make their space in the political arena. But as the youth, we know what we want, and we know that it's actually possible because we've seen it happening elsewhere. So the willpower, the political willpower, is what is not there, and that makes us as the youth very angry at the government.
No, definitely. Jose, I think we're going to leave it here for now. Thank you so much for joining us and giving us the time. I think we'll definitely stay in touch with you and keep a keen eye on Kenya. I think it's a very, very important country here on the continent, especially for us South Africans. Spoke about those exchanges and just the similarities. I think there's a lot that the
Yeah.
South African youth can learn from the youth of Kenya when it comes to holding government accountable and going out to the streets and showing the government that we're actually not happy. You know, the
Yeah.
TikTok
Yeah.
challenges and everything that you see on social media doesn't reflect the true lived realities of the youth. So yeah, really, really
That is
appreciate it, and hope to catch up soon. And please send me that Harambe Stars shirt, hey?
all
Like it.
right. I'll make sure I'll be coming back to South Africa. I'll bring it to you.
There you go, Josiah
All
Muriukji,
right.
Kenyan student living in South Africa, but is currently in Kenya at the moment. And he was part of those Gen Z protests that unfortunately turned out deadly. And yeah, I think, you know, year after year, it's the second year of these protests now. And it puts a lot into perspective, especially as a young South African myself. And listening to Josiah speak, and the parallels are insane. You know, you'd swear that he's talking about South Africa. You, professional graduates, people that went to school, got their degrees, their masters, but unemployed. I think this is a script that we've seen play itself out so many times here in the country. The issue of black tax, things are so expensive that as a young person, your 20s are not even for you. Your 20s are about recorrecting, you know, what's back home, trying to make sure that you build your parents a house, you take care of your parents that are aging, because the system has also promised them lies. And you get a bit of education, you get a job, you know, a time where you're supposed to build yourself up, but unfortunately you can't. You have to sacrifice 10 years of your life to essentially look out for those that are back home. And I think the youth of South Africa can learn a thing or two from the young people out in Kenya. Although, you know, there's an unfortunate loss of lives, but it's important. It's important as young people of this country. You know, we've seen it happen outside of Kenya. 1976, it was young people again who took out to the streets and challenged authority and challenged the government and said, we're not going to take it anymore. And yeah, the current youth of Kenya are really, really inspirational for me. I think it's a learning moment, not just for South Africa, but I think for the whole continent of Africa. Because hey man, these people could liberate us. We fought, we were in the trenches. That's all good, and we appreciate the efforts that were made. We recognize the efforts that were made, but the promises of a better life for everyone have not come to fruition. And this reminds me of another Nelson Mandela quote, where he said, if the ANC does to you what the apartheid government did, then do to the ANC what you did to the apartheid government. And I think we're going to leave it on that note. We're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll continue sticking with Kenya. We're going to be speaking to Kenyan lawyer, businessman, and law lecturer Salim Omar, who's also in Nairobi at the current moment, just to reflect on the events of the past 24 hours and just generally the mood in Kenya right now, and the interaction between young people and government, and how it's so sour. You know, you have government shooting his children, essentially. You know, the people that is put through the system, promised to take care of and promised to build a better life for. And those promises, because they've turned into lies, and young people are saying, you lied, you need to be held accountable. And they're killing them, shooting them, live ammunition and all. Going to take a quick break. When we come back, our Africa Focus feature continues, and our attention is still on Kenya and what's happening in that part of the continent.